Hello my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I've got another spoiler-free book review to share with you guys. Today we're going to be talking about The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. This was the second book I've read by Rachel, and right off the bat I'll tell you I loved this one a lot more than the first. So because of that, because of my experience with the first one, I kind of went into this with really no expectations, kind of being like, let's give her another go, let's see how it is. And I really loved it. So I was able to get my hands on a copy of this book, which doesn't come out until the beginning of January, thanks to NetGalley and the publisher. So let's just get on into it. So first of all, the first book that I read by Rachel Hawkins was The Wife Upstairs. I didn't hate that one, but it was just kind of, I could take it or leave it, basically. It's a retelling of Jane Eyre. I love Jane Eyre, and yeah, The Wife Upstairs was just, it was fine. It was fine. Nothing really wrong with it, but I just didn't love it. This one. I loved this one. So my official rating on Goodreads, I think, is going to be a 4.5 rounded up to a 5. So let's talk about it a little bit. There's going to be no spoilers here, as previously mentioned, because the only time I like to give spoilers is once a book is already out, and then I give you a warning and you can choose whether you want to listen to the spoilers or not. So, The Villa. We have two timelines here. We have the present timeline, in which Emily, our main character, is going to spend the summer in Italy with her best friend, Chess. Emily's a writer. She's written 9 books in a series. She writes cozy mysteries, and she's really struggling to get work done on that 10th one in the series. She's recently divorced after really going through it with her husband. She ended up getting sick, physically ill, though doctors couldn't find out what was wrong with her. And eventually her husband leaves her in the midst of her struggles. And that's something that really hurts her and really sticks with her, you know, as it would, as it should. Her best friend, Chess, is a childhood friend. I think her real name is Jessica, but over the years, she's changed it from, like, she didn't want to be Jess, it's too common. So eventually she ends up at Chess. And Chess is also a writer, as luck would have it. But she writes nonfiction. She's kind of like one of those self-help gurus that writes those books where, you know, they're full of mantras and pumping you up and guiding you through life. And she's become extremely famous because of these books. Emily thinks they're all kind of nonsense, but, you know, Chess is out here making millions. She's been on Oprah, like, the whole thing. And these two, they haven't, you know, they grew up together, but as they've gotten older, their lives have moved in separate paths, and they haven't spent a lot of time with each other recently. So when Chess comes up with this idea to go to Italy for the summer, Emily is in. She thinks it would be a good idea. The second timeline we get is in the 70s, I think 1974, and it takes place at the villa where these two are going to stay. And what we see unravel in the 70s is 5 people staying at this villa. And when I was reading through the that timeline in the 70s, it kind of gave me Fleetwood Mac vibes from, like, back in the day when they wrote the Rumors album. I had that kind of feeling while reading. So the 5 people that are back in the 70s, we have Mari, who's kind of the main character from that timeline, her sister Laura, Mari's boyfriend Pierce, who we find out has also had relations with Laura, a world-famous rock star named Noel, and then Noel's drug dealer Johnny. And as the timeline there unfurls, we learn that something very tragic happened during their summer stay. And the timelines kind of mix in together when Emily and Chess arrive to the villa, and Emily's doing more research. Before they got there, she was also researching it, but once she gets there, she really delves deep into it, and she learns about everything that happened that summer. And she, because the two women, so the tragedy that happens there in the summer of 74 befalls one of the men of the group. And so the two women, the sisters, Mari and Laura, they, after that summer they went on, Mari became a best-selling author, having written a horror novel during her time there called Lilith Rising. And then her sister actually went on to write and record a incredible album that really became a staple of the 70s, and just talked about how, like, you know, if you're not familiar with her, ask your mom, ask your grandma, they all had her album. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So that's all I'm going to tell you about the plot. So it kind of just, well, I'll say this before I stop too. It just kind of all becomes a bit of a mystery while Emily is finding out what happened that summer. And not only is it what she's able to read in books or in the newspapers and archives and magazine archives, she finds things in the house that leads her to finding out what happened. So I just thought this was great. I thought it was well paced. I thought it was well plotted. I was very invested in all of the characters. There's a ton of twists and turns, and it kept me guessing right up, not even just guessing, but it kept me like, every time I'd find out something new, I'd be like, oh. So it's not really like a thriller or anything like that. It's not gonna, you know, it's not like that. It's more, I guess, more of a mystery. And just as it unfolds, you just get to enjoy going on the journey it takes you on. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I know between The Wife Upstairs and The Villa, Rachel Hawkins put out another book. I think it was called Reckless Girls. And after reading this one, I think I'll probably check that one out as well. When it first came out, I was kind of like, just because of how lukewarm I felt about the first one. But after reading this one, she's definitely an author I will read again, because of course not every book is going to be for everybody. That's normal. That's okay. But this one was really for me. It was right up my alley. I love the storyline. I love the intrigue. I love how dark it gets in parts, because it does. And I also, one thing I really liked about it was how the darkness is kind of just like presented. It's not told to us how dark it is. It's just presented to us, and it's like, ooh, when you think about it, it gets dark. And I enjoyed that, because, you know, I love it when it's a little dark and twisty up in these books. Love it. So yeah, really enjoyed it. And would definitely recommend. So yeah, those are my thoughts on The Villa. And I can't wait to, it's actually very sad for me that I can't tell you all the spoilers, because you would love them. I know a lot of you would love the twist in the story. So that being said, all the better, you can check it out for yourself in January when it comes out. And then once you've read it, you can come back to this video and we can talk about it. Or you can message me on Instagram and we can talk about it. Because if there's one thing you should know about me, it's that I'm always up to talk about any of the books I have read. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments down below, what's the best book you've read recently? I'm looking for things to add to my TBR for the winter, and I would love to know. Bye, guys.